Max Weber and bureaucracy. Okay, so what did he talk about bureaucracy? When he promoted bureaucracy, what he spoke about was he wanted clearly defined division of labor. Everybody was supposed to know what was the exact task they were supposed to accomplish. What was the authority that they had to follow? Who was responsible for which task and who was accountable for the same? Office had to be organized in a hierarchy. When I say a hierarchy, there had to be a supervisor and staff relationship. The supervisor had to know who he was responsible to, and the staff needed to know who is the supervisor, who are they reporting to. Okay. Organizational memory and continuity had to be separate from individuals. The organization had to be treated as an entity by itself. It could not be a part of individuals. Like now today, if you look at it, all the organizational record keeping from individual record keeping is completely different. Even if you're a proprietor or a partner, your organizational entity is actually separated from your individual entity. Okay. Then the selection to specific roles had to be based on qualification. So officials had to be appointed and not elected. So like generally if there's a consensus, let's have this guy on board. No. He had to have the right qualification, he had to have the right skill set, then only he would be appointed. The administrators would work on a fixed salary, on a career basis. So for example, if you were the vice president finance, you were a salaried person. You were not the owner. Maybe you were controlling everything in the finance there, or maybe you were raising the funds for the organization, but minus of the equity in the organization. Only the equity holders are the owners of the organization. The administrative staff, though they do the entire day-to-day running, they have all the data, they have all the access, they are still administrators and not owners. Okay, and then administrators were subject to impersonal rule, discipline and control. Now is that clear? Great. Now management science and scientific management, different thought processes. Formative years 1940s to 1960. The basis here was mostly operation research. It uses a quantitative basis for decision making. When I say quantitative, it was based on numbers. It was a numerical analysis. It was a mathematical model. Here the emphasis was managing production and operations. Okay, systems approach. This was 1950s. This is just to give a perspective to you. You don't need to like remember this particular portion for academic understanding. This is just to give you a perspective as to how it's been evolving. System approach, 1950s to 1970s. This views an organization as a group of interdependent functions contributing to a single purpose. So for example, a marketing, a human resource, a IT, a manufacturing, a production, a sales, all need to work together and all are interrelated functions so as for the organization to achieve the goal. For example, if the particular goal of the organization for let's say this, let's take an example, let's say ICICI, okay? Let's say ICICI are there and let's say Yes Bank is there. Now what's the difference between these two banks, an ICICI Bank and a Yes Bank? What's the difference between an ICICI Bank and a Yes Bank? Okay, okay fine. ICICI Bank in terms of private banking, in the sense in terms of private operators in banking, is a much older entity vis-a-vis a Yes Bank. Yes Bank is a much new entrant in the private banking space, right? Isn't it? So, for example, the motive, okay, the purpose, let's say, for example, for this particular short term, when I say short term, let's assume for the next 3 years or the next 5 years, the main purpose of ICICI Bank is to be more profitable, right? Profit becomes the motive. And for Yes Bank, because it's a new entrant, market share becomes the motive. They're saying, okay, forget about profitability, we'll break even later, but let's gain some market share, let's gain some customers. What will change here? Okay, I'll just explain once again, Priya. I'm saying that there are two organizations. Both are banking. Their purpose is, their function is exactly the same. Same saving account, same current account, same credit card, same home loan, everything else is the same, you know. Hierarchy, more or less, the organization structure, everything is the same. But let's say ICICI is saying, I've been there in the market for a while now. I've already acquired a substantial data. I've already acquired a substantial customer base. My short-term motive, let's say the next 3 years or the 5 years, my main motive is to be more profitable than what I am today. On the other hand, Okay. On the other hand, Yes Bank is saying, I am a new entrant in the market. I don't have a significant market share. So I'll leave profitability for the time being. I'll break even later, but I want market share. Exactly the same products, both the organization have similar structure, similar everything. But the purpose is now different. So what will happen? Purpose of the organization is different. One organization is looking for profit making, the other organization is looking only at market share. What do you think will be the difference in the management style here? Profit making vis-a-vis market share. How does the management style change? Don't you think it will be probably the other way around? For ICICI, they will only look at high-end individuals. They will not bother about picking up just about any other account. They would only concentrate on accounts which they know will deliver some amount of profit to the bank. Their lending will become more stricter. They'll not be bothered about giving their cards or their home loans to just about anybody. They'll only be focusing on high ticket sizes or ticket sizes which are more risk free. On the other hand, when you look at Yes Bank is looking at market share right now. It's not really bothered about the profitability. They need more customers in their yes. Krishna, okay, I'll just repeat once again, Krishnan. You have two organizations, okay? Okay, so you have one organization which is saying, I want profit. I've been there in the market for like 20 years now. I have enough customer base. I'm already an established player. Brand wise, I'm aware. Everybody knows my name. I'm known in the sense there's no problem in terms of my brand establishment or my acceptability. Everybody knows me. Most of the people in my intended target group are already my customers. Now I want to concentrate on profitability. Okay. So here, see, if you look at both the banks, the function of both these organizations is identical. वही saving account है, वही current account है, same credit card, same home loans, more or less their portfolio is exactly the same, right? But if you change the purpose of the organization, one is profit building, the other is market share, the whole management style will differ. Now is it clear? Is the example coming out clearly to you guys? Now is it clear? Everything else remaining constant, just the purpose of the organization has changed, and see the whole output, the way you manage the organization, the entire management style will change. Okay, that is okay. Now from systems approach, motivation and leadership. Okay, 1950s to 1960s. Here, okay, this motivation and leadership theories, we'll do it separately once again, because these things is in very short here. We'll explain this in detail in one of the later classes when we do leadership. Okay, so motivation and leadership. In late 1950s, Douglas and McGraw proposed this theory X and theory Y. This basically assumed the relationship between the employees and the employer. Okay, so theory X and theory Y. Okay, nothing but what did this theory say? Anybody has any idea what is the theory X and theory Y? Any idea? I'm just asking. The basis of this theory X and theory Y is actually, theory X assumes that nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to be this thing. So everybody has to be closely monitored and closely supervised to get any work done. And theory Y is just the opposite. It assumes all the workers are very interested in work, they're very motivated, and so anyways, we'll come to that. This theory X, Y, and there's also theory Z now, so we'll discuss that. I'm just telling you how these theories have evolved now. So in the early so this was 1950s. Then came the mid-60s, contingency model of leadership was proposed, where a different type of leadership under different circumstances was recommended by Fred Fiedler. Now, situational leadership. Class, are you following this? Situational leadership. As the name suggests, situational leadership meant that, or the contingency model or situational leadership basically mean for different situations you need different set of leaders. So, for example, somebody spoke about authority, right? Now, let's say there are there are basically three types of leader. Just as an example, there is an authoritarian style. Authoritarian is like very strict, very authoritative, very unidirectional, very dictatorial style of leadership. Whatever I say will be done. Otherwise, it will only be done my way or it's the highway. There's no scope of this thing. Then there is, let's say, another style of leadership which is known as democratic style of leadership. Everybody has a say. Okay, so everybody has a say here. Then there's this leadership style which is known as laissez-faire, which is basically let it be. Whatever you want to do, you do.